देख रहे हैं न्यूज इंडिया, आपके साथ मैं हूं चारुल शर्मा। सीधा रुख करेंगे एक बड़ी खबर का। फ्रांस के राष्ट्रपति इमैनुअल मैक्रों का बड़ा बयान, हमने एकता का संदेश दिया है। रूस अब भी यूक्रेन से युद्ध कर रहा है। G20 यूक्रेन में शांति के लिए प्रतिबद्ध।
National for artificial intelligence, and together with the support of the OECD. And the OECD can gather the international community beyond its members, and it is very much necessary for the purpose of regulating IA. And once again, I would like to commend the Indian presidency of the G20. Brazil will take over, and they have our full confidence. We will work together with them closely on a number of topics: protection of forestry, food sovereignty, social justice. And as you know, since 2018, we've been strongly advocating these topics. Without further ado, I'm all yours for your questions. Mr. President, good afternoon. Back to the G20. This compromise seems to be not exactly what France was expecting, and Ukraine expressed their disappointment, whereas Russia seems to be said they were satisfied. So is this due to the emerging countries? Next, on climate change, you express your concerns. You're calling to do more. Is this a bad signal at this G20 ahead of COP28? First of all, let us face it, let's be honest, that the G20 is not a forum for political discussions. It was revived at the time of the financial crisis a few years ago. And we're here to mainly talk about economic topics and climate change. So I think the G20 should not get stuck into some other issues. But of course, we know that we disagree on Ukraine, given that Russia is a member of the G20. But as a matter of fact, things have been said. The G20 said it supports a just and lasting peace. This is exactly the opposite of what Russia is saying. And the G20 itself re-expressed our support to territorial integrity and the UN Charter. So that's it. But that being said, this is not the place where we will see some major developments, given in particular what the situation is on the ground. And we have here 16 members of the G20 who voted, approved all the resolutions that condemn Russia. 3 abstained and 1 voted against. And of course, this is Russia. So Russia precisely is in a very isolated position at the G20. Nonetheless, this is not the place for major diplomatic moves. On climate change, I think there's one point, financing, on which we've achieved some major progress, and this is essential, I believe. And I believe we collectively contributed to it. And France, with this summit that we organized back in June with the Pact for the Peoples and the Planet, I believe was helpful for the Indian presidency. But let me sound the alarm. We're not there yet, and I can feel this little tune growing from on different sides, and we have to speak the truth, talking to the emerging countries. It is expensive for us as well. We know what the energy transition costs in terms of public investments, of changing our ways of living for many people, the fears as well that it generates. But it is legitimate and normal that we play that role. At the same time, we need to re-engage with the emerging countries to phase out coal by 2030, and as soon as possible will phase out fuel as well. And those who are telling us, emerging countries, no, we're making a lot of money with oil at the moment, so let's not phase it out. This is not possible. Of course, it will take more time for gas, but far before 2050, we need to phase out coal and oil. So let us, of course, there shall be no, we cannot be hypercritical. Merci, Monsieur le Président. Une question d'un média indien.
How do you see the overall trajectory of India-France strategic partnership in the context of the fragmented geopolitical environment? India has decided to procure Rafale fighter jets for the Indian Navy. When can we expect announcement of a deal in this regard? And lastly, in fact, how do you see the overall presidency of India? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Look, first, I think we have a very strong.
Tout d'abord, nous avons un partenariat stratégique extrêmement dynamique. Nous avons un partenariat de défense très fort. Nous l'avons renforcé ces dernières années. La visite qu'a effectuée le Premier ministre indien à Paris le 14 juillet était un moment essentiel dans ce partenariat. Le peuple français était très fier de cette visite. Les Français ont ressenti cette amitié et ce respect pour votre pays. Et nous avons signé davantage de contrats.
On all the different parts of our defense roadmap, additional contracts and procurements in the months and years to come. On space, we decided a new common partnership. On nuclear, civilian nuclear industry, we have an existing roadmap and we had additional milestone, and we will follow up in the weeks to come. And on infrastructure, on economy, on startups, on technology, on transportation, and a lot of sectors, on culture as well, obviously, we will follow up. So I think our partnership from a bilateral point of view is reaching records in all the different sectors. This is why this partnership is not just a bilateral partnership. But I think the actual evidence of a stronger intimacy in terms of strategy for the region and the world. I think we do have the same view that we have to preserve balances in this current environment. We have to resist to the fragmentation of this world. And we have to work together to provide solutions to the rest of the world on what makes sense. It was exactly the philosophy we promoted when we launched together with Prime Minister Modi in 2018, the Solar Alliance. The International Solar Alliance is exactly one of the best evidence of this philosophy. This is exactly the same we did yesterday together with the Emirates, Saudis and the US and some other colleagues on this corridor from India to Mediterranean Sea. And this is exactly how we worked hand in hand with your Prime Minister for this presidency, with the Paris Summit and this presidency to prepare and create dynamic on a lot of topics from climate to financing. I think this presidency, in this current environment and this fragmented world, with a lot of difficulties, is a very important positive momentum on these critical issues. This is why I do thank you, Prime Minister. And I'm committed to this common agenda, bilateral, strategic and international.